I wonder what they're talking about, Mr. Chairman and legal.
I want to remind everyone we're on the public, so the public is able to listen to our conversation. I'm waiting for other board members to log in, but just want to remind you that the public is aware of your conversation. Okay. All right, good morning, everyone. We're on the record. Could all board members please? I think one of our board members is having some technical difficulties, but we'll start. Sorry, no, good morning again. Good morning, everyone. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board for the District of Columbia, in accordance with DC Code Section 2576 of the Open Meetings Act, I am welcoming you to the regular scheduled meeting of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to guidance made available by the District of Columbia's Office of Open Government regarding electronic meetings held by public bodies during the public health emergency. Pursuant to this guidance, notice of today's meeting was provided 48 hours in advance of the meeting on ABRA's website and on the district's central meeting calendar. The notice included the time, date, agenda, and call-in or login information for public participation. This electronic meeting is being hosted by a WebEx account provided by the District of Columbia government. Please address any questions or complaints to the OOG at opengovoffice@dc.gov. My name is Donovan Anderson. I'm chairman of the board. I would like to introduce the other members of the ABC board who are also participating electronically pursuant to Mayor's Order 2020-054. Please respond when I announce your name. Mr. Bobby Cato.
Bobby Cato.
Ms. Rafi Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, present.
Ms. Jenny Hansen.
Jenny Hansen, present.
Mr. Edward Grandis.
Edward Grandis present.
The board has 5 members in attendance for the conduct of business today, and that constitutes a quorum. Before we get underway with today's hearing calendar, I need to make a few instructions very clear so that the conduct of these hearings can be understood by everybody. We only have one hearing on our morning calendar, so I don't need to make the instruction, but just if anyone is online and if you have any technical assistance, please put your questions in the question and answer feature, or you can submit any questions you have to simone.andrews2@dc.gov. All right, our first case this morning is case number 20 CMP 00059. Pastella, license number 100259. Ms. Andrews, can you please elevate the rights of the licensee and the government, please?
Mr. Chair, they don't appear to be online.
The government is not online?
We have Mr. Walter Adams, but my record show is supposed to be Jessica Krupke. I'm just going to make Mr. Adams the panel.
Yes, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and the members of the board. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Adams. Thank you. I'm sorry, Miss Andrews. Is there anyone else on the line?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, good morning, Mr. Adams. Can you please identify yourself for the record, please?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Walter Adams, representing the District of Columbia.
All right. And the licensee is not here today. The licensee is not here today. This is a show cause hearing status case. So this matter then will be scheduled for a show cause hearing at a date to be determined. And the agency will advise you, Mr. Adams, and the licensee of the date and time of the show cause hearing. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Take care, Mr. Chairman.
Have a great day. Thank you.
You too.
All right. The next case on our calendar is case number 20 CMP 00014, the Gold Room Bar Lounge, license number 114757. This hearing is continued to June 16th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. at the request of the government and with the consent of the respondent. There ends our morning calendar, and so since our morning calendar has been concluded, let's now move to our legal agenda. The first matter on our legal agenda is a review of MK Caterers Events request for a reinstatement of its catering license. This is MK Catering Events, license number 079539. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote to the motion that's been properly seconded by Ms. Crockett. Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter therefore passes 5-0-0. The next matter on our legal agenda, it's a review of the protestants' request to continue the protest hearing in Randall Grocery, license number 019046. I make a motion that we approve this request. The new date is June 17th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis will second.
Mr. Grandis has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion that's been properly seconded by Mr. Grandis. Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Ed Grandis, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 5-0-0. The next matter on our schedule, the review of a settlement agreement dated April 9th, 2021 between Advisory Commissioner 1A, Commission 1A, and Packwood Porch, license number 117791. I make a motion that we approve this request with modifications. Is there a second?
Bobby Cato, second.
Mr. Cato, second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion that's been properly seconded by Mr. Cato. Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 5-0-0. The next matter on our legal agenda is a review of the amended settlement agreement dated April 1st, 2021 between Advisory Neighborhood Commission 2F and Save on Liquors, license number 000178. I make a motion that we approve this agreement with modifications. Is there a second?
Ed
Bobby
Grandis
Cato.
will second.
Mr. Grandis and Mr. Cato second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 5-0-0. The next matter on our legal agenda is review of Heirloom's catering request for reinstatement of its license. Heirloom Catering, license number 103563. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion that's been properly seconded by Ms. Crockett. Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 5-0-0. The next matter on our agenda is a review of an offer in compromise in Sunset Wine and Liquors, license number 095926. The offer in compromise is that charge 1, allowed on-premises consumption of alcoholic beverages. The statutory authority is DC Code Section 251112B, and the term is a warning. I make a motion that we approve this OIC. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis will second.
Mr. Grandis has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion that has been properly seconded by Mr. Grandis. Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passes 6-0-0. The next matter on our,
Mr. Chair, sorry I'm late. Mr. Short, I'm sorry I'm late.
All right, yes, Mr. Short, good morning. The next matter on our legal agenda is the review of Grace Street's Coffee Roasters motion for reconsideration of canceled license. I make a motion that we approve this. The license number is 106064. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. I will now have a roll call vote to the motion that's been properly seconded by Ms. Crockett, Mr. Short,
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato,
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett,
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson,
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis,
Edward Grandis, I agree.
Mr. Grandis, and I agree. The matter passed 6-0. I'm sorry. Too many papers here. The next matter on our agenda is illegal agenda is review of an offer in compromise for case number 20 CMP 00115, District Soul Food Restaurant and Lounge, license number 112072. The offer and compromise is follows. The District of Columbia jointly with the licensee respondent submits this offer in compromise to the Alcohol Beverage Control Board as authorized by 23 Dcmr, section 116.11.5 for approval by the board. The parties understand that if the board approves the OIC, appeal and judicial review are waived under 23 Dcmr, section 1611.6. Scheduled hearings will be vacated and the case will conclude. Respondent will be obligated to abide by the OIC terms shown below. If the board doesn't approve the OIC, the matter will be continued to a show cause hearing for May 5th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. The respondent has been advised that there is no obligation to accept the OIC. Respondent has been advised through service of notice of status hearing and show cause hearing that at a show cause hearing, the respondent may be represented by legal counsel, have subpoenas issued to require the production of witnesses and evidence, produce witnesses and evidence, cross-examine witnesses, and apply to the board for a qualified interpreter. The OIC terms are as follows. The term charge 1, failure to follow a board order by allowing the sale, service, or consumption of alcohol on the premises while the establishment's license was suspended. Statutory authority, DC Code Section 25823A6. Term 1, there's no fine. Term 2, no suspension. Term 3, other term. The licensee agrees to surrender the license for safekeeping. Following the board's approval of this OIC, respondent shall immediately cease all service and sale of alcohol and ensure that all alcoholic beverages are secure and not accessible to the public for sale, service, or consumption. Respondent shall surrender the license for safekeeping and all alcohol will be removed from respondent's premises by 12 p.m. on May 7th, 2021. Respondent shall file an application for the transfer of respondent's ABC license within 30 days of the board's order accepting this OIC. Respondents' owners, including David Roundtree, will have no ownership interest in the new license holder, who shall be a bona fide purchaser. If a transfer application cannot be filed in 30 days, then within the same period, respondent must file a report with the board detailing efforts to secure a purchaser or the license shall be canceled. Respondent may not withdraw a transfer application if the board disapproves the transfer, but may file a new transfer application within 30 days of disapproval. If the license is not transferred to a new owner by November 3rd, 2021, the license shall be deemed canceled by the board, provided that any request for an extension for reasonable cause may be made to the board and granted or denied at its discretion. Charge 2, interference with an investigation. Statutory authority, DC Code Section 25823A5. The other terms are the terms that were just read in the records for charge 3, for the first charge. So therefore, I make a motion that the board approves this OIC. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote On the motion that has been properly seconded by Ms. Crockett, Mr. Short,
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato,
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett,
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson,
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis,
Edward Grandis, I agree.
and Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passes 6-0. The next case on our agenda is a review of an offer in compromise for case number 20 AUD 00020, Rico Loco El Techo, license number 104119. Excuse me, and the offer in compromise for this case is charge 1, failed to file a quarterly statement by the date and in the manner prescribed by the board. Statutory authority, DC Code Section 25113B2A. The fine, a $2,000 fine to be paid within 120 days, or the ABC license will be suspended until the fine is paid. Other terms, the licensee must submit the subject quarterly statement if it has not yet been submitted. I therefore make a motion that this offer in compromise be accepted. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion that's been properly seconded by Mr. Short. Mr. Short,
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato,
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett,
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson,
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis,
Edward Grandis, I agree.
and Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. The next case, it's a global offer in compromise. A review of the offer in compromise for case number 19 AUD 00119, case number 20 CMP 00017, case number 20 251-00036, case number 19 CMP 00207, and case number 20 CIT 00201. Now, this is a global settlement, so I'm going to review the terms of the OIC for all the cases. And once I review all the OICs, then I will make a motion to the board whether or not the board should accept or reject the OIC. So I just want to remind the board, this is the one OIC that's been presented, although it covers several cases, okay? So the first case is case number 19 AUD 00119. The charge for this case is failed to file the required quarterly statement, DC Official Code Section 25113B2A. This was for the third quarter of 2019, which was the period July through September 2019. This is the seventh second tier violation within 4 years. The OIC terms are $2,000 paid within 120 days, or the license shall be suspended indefinitely until the fine paid. That the licensee was supposed to submit pending quarterly statements if they have not been submitted, and that the respondent shall attend the agency's books and records training for hotels and restaurants within 30 days. That's the first case. The case number 20 CMP 00017, charge 1, provide live entertainment without the endorsement, DC Official Code Section 25113A-B1. This is a primary tier violation. Offense is the third primary tier violation within 3 years. The terms of the OIC is a warning and that the respondent shall apply for an entertainment endorsement within 30 days. The next case on that's covered in this OIC is case number 20-251-00036. Charge 1 in this case is allowed the establishment to be used for unlawful purpose. DC Official Code Section 25823A2 is a third primary tier violation. third primary tier violation within 3 years. The OIC terms are as follows: a $6,000 fine payable within 120 days, or the license shall be suspended indefinitely until the fine has been paid, and that there is a 20-day suspension to be served. The 20-day suspension will be served from July 21st through August 12th, 2021. The dates that are excluded from the terms of the suspension are July 26th, August 2nd, and August 9th, 2021. And the reason why these dates are excluded is because the licensee is not open on Mondays. So therefore, because it's closed on a Monday, these days do not count in the 20-day mandatory suspension. Charge 2, fail to follow the terms of the approved license by operating on a Monday. This is DC Official Code Section 25823A7. The OIC term is a warning. For case number 19 CMP 00207, charge 1, failed to keep and maintain books and records for 3 years. DC Code Section 25113 J3 and 23 Dcmr Section 1204. The OIC term for this one is a warning. And the next case is case number 20 CIT 00201, charge 1, failed to comply with mayor's order and board's emergency rulemaking pursuant to section 23 Dcmr section 810. The offense, third primary tier violation within 3 years. The OIC terms is $1,000 to payable within 120 days, or the license shall be suspended indefinitely until the fine is paid. And so for this global OIC, there is a total fine of $9,000 with a 20-day suspension to be served July 21st through August 12th, 2021. I then make a motion that the board denies this global OIC. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote on the motion that's been properly seconded by Mr. Short. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0-0. All right, we now move to our licensing agenda. The first matter on our licensing agenda is a review application for stipulated license with letter of A&C support to operate with a new entertainment endorsement. This is Ghostline, license number 117089. I make a motion that the board approves this. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett,
Grandis.
seconds.
Mr. Grandis and Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0-0. The next matter is a review request to extend alcohol sales for an additional 30 days at the approved pop-up location located at 655 K Street Northwest. This is Soul Mexican Grill, license number 092192. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett, seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion that has been properly seconded by Ms. Crockett. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0-0. The next matter on our licensing agenda is a review request for refund/forgiveness of late fees for a Class A license renewal. This is for Vitas Fine Wines and Spirits, license number 115327. I make a motion that we deny this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. Will now have a roll call vote to the motion that has been properly seconded by Mr. Short. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato,
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett,
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson,
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis,
Edward Grandis, I agree.
and Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passes 6-0. The next matter is a review request for refund forgiveness of late fees paid for Class A license renewal. This is for 10th Street Market, license number 09095251. I make a motion that we deny this request. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis,
Crockett seconds.
Mr. Grandis and Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short,
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato,
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett,
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson,
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis,
Edward Grandis, I agree.
and Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. We now move to our supplemental license agenda. The first matter on our supplemental license agenda is a review request to extend safekeeping of license. This is for Grace Street Coffee Roasters, license number 106064. I make a motion that we approve this request through September 30th, 2021. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion that's been properly seconded by Ms. Crockett. Mr. Short,
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato,
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett,
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson,
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis,
Edward Grandis, I agree.
and Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. We now move to our vacate cancellation agenda orders agenda. The ABC board has vacated the following order to cancel previously issued on November 18th, 2020. This is for Caribbean Kitchen, license number 109111. This is a retailer seat tavern. The license did pay its second year renewal fees. So I then make a motion that we vacate the order previously issued on November 18th, 2020 to cancel the license. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis will second.
Mr. Grandis has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Short,
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato,
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett,
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson,
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis,
Edward Grandis, I agree.
and Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 6-0. We now move to our cancellation agenda. The ABC board will be canceling the following licenses for the reasons outlined below. Serengeti, license number 022889, the licensee requests cancellation. Joycelyn Restaurant Bar and Lounge is a retailer C restaurant, license number 099451. The licensee requests cancellation. I therefore make a motion that the ABC board cancel these two licenses that were read in the record based on the request of the licensee. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion that's been properly seconded by Mr. Short. Mr. Short,
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato,
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett,
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson,
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis,
Edward Grandis, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passes 6-0. We now move to our docket for the day. There are 10 items on the docket. I will read the name of the establishment. I will state their license class, and I will also state the reason, the request that's been made. After going through all 10 establishments, then I'll make a motion that the ABC board grants these requests. So the first licensee is Tacoma Station Tavern, license number 079370. Again, this is a retailer C tavern. This is a sports wagering application. The next request is from Spirit of Washington, license number 077414-2. This is a retailer CX Marine Vessel. This is a trade name change application. The new name is now Spirit of Baltimore 2. The next request is a request made from Boomerang Boat 3rd, license number 085705. This is a retailer CX marine vessel. This is a letter of request to retire and replace vessel with an increase to 90 passengers. The next establishment is DC Mini Supermarket, license number 118268. This is a retailer B, transfer with sale application. The next applicant is Matchbox Capitol Hill, license number 117767. This is a retailer C restaurant. This is transfer with sale application. The next request is La Bahia Restaurant, license number 118051. This is a retailer C restaurant. This is transfer with sale application. The next request is a request made by Immigrant Food, license number 115953. They are a retailer D restaurant. This is a request for an entertainment endorsement application with cover charge. The next request, a request made by Akira Ramen and Askara, license number 117621. This is a retailer C restaurant. This is a new ABC license application. The next request, a request made by Ghostline, license number 117089. They are a retailer C restaurant. This is a trade name change application. The new name is now Social Beast. The next request, a request made by Deco Cocktails, license number 117761. This is an Internet A establishment. This is a new ABC license application. I therefore make a motion that the ABC board grants the request from all the licensees that were just read in the record. Is there a second?
Ed Grandis will second.
Seconds.
Mr. Grandis and Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote on the motion that was properly seconded. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Henson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passes 6-0. We have now come to the end of our our morning calendar and our morning agendas. So the board will now be in recess until our 1:30 hearing. I now direct all board members to return to executive session for further discussions. Thank you very much. See you the public at 1:30. Thanks. Bye-bye. Good afternoon, everyone. We're back on the record. My name is Donovan Anderson. I'm chairman of the board. We're joined today by Mr. James Short, Mr. Bobby Cato, Ms. Rafi Crockett, Ms. Jenny Henson, and Mr. Edward Grandis. The board has 6 members in attendance today for us to conduct business. There are several cases on our calendar this afternoon. However, there's only, I think, one hearing. I just want to clarify to you that if you have any questions or concerns getting access, please put your query in the chat, or you can send an email to simone.andrews2@dc.gov if you're having any technical issues today. Just want to also let you know that your camera will not be elevated until your case is called. All right, so I just have some other administrative matters on our calendar before I call. So let me go through the cases on our afternoon calendar. Okay, the first case on our afternoon calendar is case number 20, AUD 00020, Rita Loco El Techo, license number 104119. This case has been canceled, and an offer in compromise was provided to the board, and the board approved it on our legal agenda. That OIC was approved by the board earlier this morning on its legal agenda. The next case on our calendar is case number 19-251-00067, El Nuevo Megalino, license number 75403. And this hearing is continued to June 9th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. at the request of the respondent and with the consent of the government. The next case in our calendar is case number 20, CMP 00115, District Soul Food Restaurant and Lounge, license number 112072. This hearing is canceled due to submission of an offer in compromise that was provided to the board. The board was in receipt of the offer in compromise, and the board reviewed and accepted it and voted on it this morning on our legal agenda. All right, so the next case in our calendar is case number 20-251-00036, Sharita Morid Restaurant, license number 060806. Ms. Andrews, can you please elevate the rights of the government and the other parties in this case, please?
Sure, stand by.
Thank you.
Mr. Bashir, your rights have been elevated. Mr. Louis, your rights have been elevated. Mr. Guerin, your rights have been elevated. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Andrews. All right. I cannot see you, Mr. Louis or Mr. Bashir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. This is again case number 22-510-00036, Sharita Madrid Restaurant. So can I have the parties introduce themselves for the record, starting with the government, please?
Good afternoon, board members. My name is John Louis on behalf of the government. That's JOHNLUI.
Thank you. Mr. Guerin. You're on mute, sir.
Sorry, I got it. Ernesto Giron, Churreria Madrid, I'm the owner. First name ERNESTO, last name GIRON.
Good afternoon. All right, Mr. Louis, and I guess I've confused myself. Although this is the only case that was on the calendar today, was the government still moving forward with there are some other cases that the government had discussed, and so was the government still moving forward with those cases? So at least I can call this case and identify them for the record, on the record?
There is only one case. There's only one case this afternoon. The government does not have an offer in compromise, a global offer in compromise to present at this time.
Okay, so this is the only case that's been litigated today. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairperson, yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, fine. All right. All right, so regarding regarding this case, are there any preliminary matters before, because it's scheduled for show cause hearing?
No, Mr. Chairperson.
All right. So give me 1 minute, please.
Mr. Chairperson, I can clarify. The parties submitted a stipulation of facts, and in my opening statement, I will address that point.
All right, so but I guess the way I'm thinking about it, so there are preliminary issues. So if you're saying that you're basically saying that we're not going to have a full-blown hearing because there is some stipulation of facts. So that's why I've said, if there's are there preliminary matters, and then you can say yes there is, and then you can say to me what they are. You know, Mr. Louis, as attorneys, I don't like attorneys do not like surprises. Attorneys, at least me as an attorney, I don't like surprises. I want to know where we're going and how we're going. So anyway, so let me start at the beginning. Are there this is a show cause hearing, and so for all show cause hearing, I start off by saying, are there any preliminary matters?
Yes, there is a preliminary matter.
And what is the preliminary matter, sir?
Prior to today's show cause hearing, the parties submitted a stipulation of facts to which the parties agreed. And
so with the stipulation of facts, what it is that are we saying then that these are the factual allegations that are agreed to, and then are we going to have arguments, or just let me know the posture of the case?
Given that there are 11 facts as a part of the stipulation, the government has therefore proven the charges in the notice, the two charges, the underlying charges, and that we can proceed to the next phase, the penalty phase.
Right. All right. So therefore, the government would not be called in witnesses today. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairperson.
All right. So I see that Mr. Bashir, can you identify yourself for the record, since I see that you're online.
Yes, Mr. Chairperson, Investigator Mark Brashears, MarkBrashears.
Thank you, Mr. Bashir. And Mr. Louis, do you wish to excuse this witness?
Yes.
So thank you very much, Mr. Bashir. You're excused, so you don't need to testify today. All right, thank you. All right, okay, so what can you provide the board with the stipulation, sir?
Certainly. I can give an opening statement that will address both the notice and the charges within the notice, and also the stipulation to which the parties agree.
All right, thank you.
And I can lay that out in the record.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, board members. We are here today in the show cause matter of MST Enterprises Incorporated, trading as Churreria Madrid Restaurant, located at 2505 Champlain Street Northwest. The show cause notice issued in this matter concerns that the charges that the licensee, one, allowed the establishment to be used for an unlawful purpose in violation of DC Code Section 25-823A2. And the second charge is that the licensee failed to follow the terms of its board-approved license by operating on a Monday in violation of DC Code Section 25-823A7. The District of Columbia submitted a stipulation of facts to which the parties agreed. The stipulation provides 11 facts, Number 1, on Monday, November 2nd, 2020, at approximately 5 p.m., Alcoholic Beverage Regulation Administration Supervisory Investigator Mark Brashears arrived at the establishment to investigate a report of a marijuana pop-up party. Number 2, S.I. Brashears met with Metropolitan Police Department at the establishment. Number 3, standing outside, S.I. Brashears observed several people on the first floor. Number 4, S.I. Brashears had difficulty entering the establishment because the front door was locked. And number 5, ABC manager Edgar Amaya told S.I. Brashears that the establishment was closed for a private event. Number 6, S.I. Brashears advised ABC manager Edgar Amaya that he could still inspect the establishment. Number 7, when S.I. Brashears and the MPD officers entered the establishment, they observed a marijuana-related event taking place. Number 8, S.I. Brashears and MPD officers observed people on the first and second floors of the establishment. Number 9, on the second floor, S.I. Brashears observed jars containing marijuana buds, rolled marijuana cigarettes, and marijuana edibles containing THC, along with marijuana paraphernalia. These items were displayed on tables or bagged. Number 10, S.I. Brashears also observed a firearm on a chair on the second floor. And number 11, the establishment's license does not allow operations on Mondays. The district has therefore proven the charges in the notice. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Louis. Did you state what the notice? I apologize if you had done that before. Did you state what the notice stated? What were the charges in the notice?
I did.
Okay, I apologize. All right. All right. Are there is there anything else you want to make as far as the factual stipulations? Any other statement you want to make?
Not from the government,
All right.
Mr. Chairperson.
All right. Any questions of the government based on the presentation, the presentation that was made, the factual stipulation that's now in the record? Any questions by the board members?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Grandis.
I would like to ask a couple questions related to the stipulation.
You can go ahead and ask. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Mr. Louis, it's a pleasure to see you again.
Hi, thank you.
Looking at the stipulations, and I believe I understand the narrowness possibly of what's in that document. But am I correct to say that the stipulations came out of that inspector's report that is dated November 2nd, 2020?
Yes.
Okay. And may I then ask you do you have a copy of that inspection report with you, sir?
Yes, I can pull it up.
Thank you.
Board's indulgence.
Stand by.
No, I'm not sure if the question has been asked for you to share your screen. I think he was just asking if you have a copy of it. So you don't necessarily, we're not asking you to share your screen, sir. Just do you have I believe that he might be asking you some specific questions about it, so you don't have to share your screen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I have the inspection report in front of me. Mr. Louis, can you turn to page, I think 3? Are you able to get to that page? I think it says on Monday, November 2nd, 2020, at approximately 7 p.m.
Yes, board member, I see it, board member Grandis.
When you scroll down, it seems to lay out allegations of what was noticed by the inspector. Could you read that list to us?
Certainly, if the board wishes.
I wish. Thank you.
Sure. Handgun unknown or unlisted, handgun Smith & Wesson, handgun Glock 21 45 ACP, iPhone .9mm ammunition, .380 ammunition, .45 ammunition, edible candy THC, 8 zip bags, and 6 clear sandwich bags of green leafy substance, marijuana cigarettes, vape cartridges, THC wax jars, bottle THC liquid, jar marijuana, clear sandwich bags, zips of marijuana, marijuana cigarettes, edible THC, vape cartridges, jar marijuana, zips, marijuana, grinder, bottle of THC, zips containing green leafy substance, clear bags containing green leafy substance, jars, cans, liquid THC bottle, box THC cartridge, edible THC candy, THC keef tubes, THC wax containers, jars of marijuana, large bags of marijuana, can of marijuana, rolled marijuana cigarettes, marijuana pills in a jar, marijuana zipped bags, and oxycodone pills. That's on the next page, on page 4.
Thank you. Thank you. Is this establishment licensed as a dispensary?
It is not. It is licensed as a CR, which is a restaurant.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask you now to go to page 1? I'm sorry, page 2?
Yes, Chair Member, I'm there. A board member.
No, I'm sorry, page 1. I apologize for my confusion. In that opening paragraph called summary,
Yes.
a few sentences down, the sentence begins additionally. Could you read that in for the record, please?
Additionally, the Metropolitan Police Department made 5 arrests of individuals inside the establishment and seized illegal narcotics and weapons. Lastly, the establishment failed to adhere to the mayor's emergency order by failing to prohibit events that would require patrons to be standing in close contact with each other, failed to require patrons to wear masks, and failed to require employees to wear masks. These violations occurred on a day the establishment was not licensed to operate, while requiring a cover charge to enter the establishment without the proper endorsement. These determinations were based on observations made by S.I. Brashears while at the establishment. A review of MPD's PD 251 report generated due to this incident and statements made by customers.
I want to thank you, and I have one last question. And it may have already been stated in the record, but just for my clarification, was the owner of the ABC licensed at the establishment when the inspector or MPD was in that establishment?
No, he wasn't.
The owner was not there.
No, not according to this report, not according to my understanding of the facts. No.
And was there a licensed manager on the premises?
Yes, ABC manager Edgar Amaya was there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
And Mr. Grandis, board member Grandis, I just wanted to note that this report is a part of the board's record as well. The investigative report is.
Thank you, Mr. Louis, and I just want the record to reflect that the board will take administrative notice of its investigative report that was done by investigator Brashears. All right, thank you. Are there any other questions by any board members for Mr. Louis? All right, hearing none. Mr. Gurion, it's my understanding that there's a stipulation. There are 11, I believe, 11 stipulation. I think 11 stipulated facts that was in the record. And since the stipulation, I just wanted you're in agreement with the stipulation. Is that correct, sir?
That is.
Is there any questions? Are there anything? Let me. I guess. Let me. Can you raise your right hand, please? You're not testifying. I just want to put. You're not testifying, but do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, fine. Thanks. Are there any comments or anything you want to say, sir? As regarding the stipulated facts, or yeah.
No.
All right. Any questions of the licensee by any board members?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask him one question.
Go ahead, Mr. Schmidt.
Yes, this is to the owner, licensee. Sir, were you aware that your business would open on that Monday?
Yes.
No further questions, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Any other questions by any of the board members? Mr. Louis, any closing statements?
No closing statements, Mr. Chairperson.
Mr. Rian, we're at the juncture where the board is gonna, there are stipulated facts that the board will take the facts under consideration, and the board will make a determination what, if any, penalty the board will issue regarding the agreement here. Is there what do you want to put on the record, as far as your perspective, what it is that you want the board to consider?
Well, there was a reason behind why this event happened. I'm not sure if you can hear me well.
Yeah, I think you're breaking up. Yeah. So yeah. You want to start back over? Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. The reason why this event happened was our business had been vandalized during the pandemic a couple of times, and we've lost over $5,000 in our doors being damaged, our windows, property stolen from the business, and it's funny that we barely had, and I was approached by some young entrepreneurs who want to rent and lease space in the restaurant. And I agreed to it because we're really in desperate need. We didn't receive any financing help from the city. We've been going at it completely alone, and I really needed the cash. That's pretty much the reason why it happened. And after that, our business has been vandalized 2 times. Our last police report was on about 2 weeks and a half ago. The guy showed up because he was released by courts because of COVID. Cannot hold him, and he just keeps coming back because the first time he got arrested, and now he had a really big grudge on me and business because we sent him for I think it was 2 months that he was
Mr. Guran,
detained,
hold on.
and after that it was
Mr. Guran, hold on, please. It's very important that the record reflect what it is that you have to say. Why don't you're having some connection issues? Why don't you log off and log back in? Maybe things, because I'm not hearing clearly, and I want to make sure that everything that you said, the record properly captures it. So why don't you log off and probably log back in, and maybe you'll get a better connection. Okay.
okay. Give me one.
Okay.
Can can uh, can can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can hear you. But Arthur, go ahead, sir.
Okay. So yes, our business before the event happened a couple times, and that has cost us a lot of money that we made in the pandemic with keeping doors closed, and that's what we agreed to to this event to happen. Last this report about this person showing up at our place, closing hours, throwing rocks, bricks, our doors and windows happened just a little over 2 weeks ago, and the police they arrest them, and the courts just let them go, and we're like I say, didn't receive any help at all from the city, and right now we can't even we don't have any help from the courts. They just say that they're gonna try to in June, but I'm not. I don't know, and we're really desperate. We're facing something that we've never faced before. We made it through the recession in '09, and we barely made it out of that. And now this is just it makes us desperate stuff and take desperations. Um, I know what the regulations are, some of them, but also regulations do not take into account the human element behind the license, how things can really affect someone and their decisions. That's pretty much it. I'm not trying to paint myself as a victim of the circumstances. It's just that the circumstances that we live in is it. That's it.
I'm still having some problems, and I appreciate the fact that you express, and I appreciate also seeing you while you're speaking, but I was told maybe you need to call in. Why don't you, it's my information that you were also given a call-in number. So I believe that, I mean, I've seen you and I've seen your expression and I've seen the pain, but I think in order to make sure that we get a better record, I would suggest that you call in, that you call in so we can hear you, because I heard what you said, but I'm not sure if the court reporter heard everything that you said, that everything is transcribed. But normally I'll say to people that I want to see folks when they're testifying, but it's important that everything that you say is clearly reflected in the record. So I would suggest that you use a call-in number and call in. So therefore, we'll have it, since you're having some connection issues.
Uh,
All right.
Mr. Giron, the call-in information was sent to you via chat, okay?
okay.
Mr. Guerin, can you hear us on your phone?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's much better. All right. One of the things I did not quite understand, you said prior to the event there was a break-in. I don't understand. So that's what but I didn't get the context. So maybe you can explain that, sir.
Yes. Before the event, weeks before, one day we showed up to open the place and the door had a big crack on the glass. So it looked really bad and I had to replace. Then 2 days later, the door was completely broken. Somebody threw a rock through it. No one went in, it was just a rock there. So I set up some security cameras on the front. And then 3 days later, this guy threw 2 rocks and the camera caught everything on tape, him going inside, stealing liquor, him and another partner of his. Between the broken doors, stolen property, the liquor, we've lost over $5,000. I'm sorry, dollars. And then he's done it 2 more times after that. The courts, he's been arrested once, actually twice, and the courts keep releasing him because of COVID restrictions. They say that they cannot hold an individual doing that kind of crime because there is no human victim involved. It's just property damage. And he just keeps coming back. So because of that, when I was approached to lease space for an event, I was in a really, really bad moment. I was pretty desperate. Like I said before, we didn't receive any help from the city during the pandemic, even until now. We've going at it pretty much with my wife and myself and 2 employees. That's about it. And when there was a chance to make some extra money to cover all this loss, I took it. I felt like I had no option. Like no one was out there to help me. And it's like I said, I'm not trying to be a victim here. It's just bad luck, I guess. One more thing that I wanted to say is that the things that Mr. Grandis wanted to point out that was recovered from the event, it wasn't in the possession of anybody that has anything to do with my business. It was the attendees of the event that had them, on their property or next to them. Nobody from that works with or for me was arrested in this matter. We were just leasing space. That was it. We didn't organize anything. There was just there. That's it.
Thank you, sir. I asked you the question. One of the reasons why I asked you to go on the phone, because it's important for the record to clearly reflect what your position is, and I want that to be clear. So I thank you for putting on the record your position. All right. Any questions? I guess I just want to ask you a question, sir. During that period, the Monday that the establishment was supposed to have been closed, was any alcohol served during that day? Cellar served during that day?
No.
So you're saying that it was a lease, so was it a lease just for space, but not to serve alcohol? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
That's correct. They just wanted to lease the space for the day because yeah, we weren't, open for business as we regularly do. They just wanted, the second floor and receive their attendees. That was it.
So what's on the second floor of your business? I don't know your establishment. So
Okay. Yes, the first floor has the bar and some seating, limited seating, and the second floor was pretty much used as our dining room. It's a bigger space, and it has a small bar, but we don't really. At the time, we weren't using it because so we didn't have anything there. It was empty.
So
pretty much the second floor was empty at the time.
So you're stating that no alcohol was sold or served during the day. Is that
That's
what you
correct.
said in your testimony? All right. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions by any board members? All right. Any closing statements by either side before I close the record? Mr. Louis?
Not from the government. Thank you.
Mr. Grion, any closing statements you want to do before I close the record?
No, that was it. I pretty much said everything.
That's it? All right. Thank you, sir. All right. I'm sorry for rushing all these papers. I apologize. All right. As chairperson of the Alcohol Beverage Control Board for the District of Columbia, in accordance with DC Official Code Section 2574B of the Open Meetings Act, I move that the ABC Board hold a closed meeting for the purpose of seeking legal advice from our counsel on case number 2251-00036, Sharid Madrid Restaurant, license number 060806. Pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2574B4 of the Open Meetings Act, and deliberating upon case number 2251-00036, Sharida Madrid Restaurant, license number 060806, for the reasons cited in DC Official Code Section 2574B13 of the Open Meetings Act. Is there a second?
Ms. Crockett seconds.
Ms. Crockett has seconded the motion. I will now take a roll call vote on the motion that's been properly seconded by Ms. Crockett. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato.
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett.
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson.
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis.
Edward Grandis, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. As it appears that the motion has passed, I hereby give notice that the ABC Board will recess its proceedings to hold a closed meeting in the ABC Board Conference Room pursuant to Section 2574B of the Open Meetings Act. Thank you very much for your presentation today. The board will take this matter under advisement and we will issue a decision accordingly. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. All right. That is the end of the board's calendar for the day. We have addressed all the issues on our calendar, and so now I'm going to officially close the record. As chairperson of the Alcohol Beverage Control Board for the District of Columbia, and in accordance with Title 3, Chapter 405, Office of Open Government, I move that the ABC Board hold a closed meeting on May 12, 2021 for the purpose of discussing and hearing reports concerning ongoing or planned investigations of alleged criminal or civil misconduct or violations of law or regulations, and seeking legal advice from our legal counsel on the board's investigative agenda, legal agenda, and licensing agenda for May 12, 2021, as published in the DC Register on May 5th, May-5-2021. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. I would now take a roll call vote on the motion before it's now it's been seconded. Mr. Short,
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Cato,
Bobby Cato, I agree.
Ms. Crockett,
Rafi Crockett, I agree.
Ms. Hanson,
Jenny Hansen, I agree.
Mr. Grandis,
Edward Grandis, I agree.
and Mr. Anderson. I agree. As it appears that the motion has passed, I hereby give notice that the ABC Board will hold this aforementioned closed meeting. Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, notice will also be posted on the ABC Board Hearing Room Bulletin Board, placed on the electronic calendar at ABRA's website, and published in the DC Register in as timely a manner as practical. We're now adjourned for the day. I want to thank the board and the public for their participation today. And I will now ask the board to return to executive session for further developments. Thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chair. Sorry, this is Matthew McMullen, the court reporter.
Yes, yes.
Can I just ask very quickly, you mentioned somebody for District Soul Food, and I wanted to make sure it was David Roundtree, Roundtree.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And would you happen to know off the top of your head how to spell Edgar Amayo that you mentioned in the stipulation?
Oh, hold on. Which case is this?
That was in the last one, the one that we just did.
Yeah, hold on 1 minute, please.
Thank you.
You're lucky because I was just about to.
I know. I try and make it so that I get it after we're off the record, but before everyone leaves. So
Okay.
sometimes I can, sometimes I can't.
Let me see. Hold on. You said Edward Amaya.
Edgar Amaya or Amayo.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Give me. I'll give that to you shortly.
Sure.
It's the spelling is EDGAR AMAYA. So he's the AMAYA.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
AMAYA. Well, speak now or forever hold your peace.
That's all that I need. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Take care then. All right then. Bye-bye.
Bye.